What's up, everybody? Welcome to my booth, COVID edition. Haven't done one of these in a while, and figured I'm about to do a couple chapters of A.S. Coomer's The Devil's Gospel, and of course I need to warm up. I'm trying to basically purge the craziness of the day job and family and all that kind of stuff, getting in reading mode. And I'm gonna narrate a little bit for you from a book off my bookshelf. Yeah. How many of you have seen this movie? It's awesome. One of my favorite horror flicks. Some great gore gags in it. Of course, anything about an ancient warlock, like, I am down. The movie has a great gag where he basically bites someone's tongue out and spits it into the frying pan. Wonderful. So I'm going to do a little bit of reading just from the page one here and kind of just get myself in the narration flow. So hope you all enjoy this, and maybe someday I'll narrate this. Maybe someday I'll try to track this down if it's not on audiobook yet. Here we go. Warlock. A novel by Ray Garden. Based on the screenplay by D.T. Twohy. He was killing a rat with his eyes. It was no challenge. A simple rat. But it helped pass the time. And it gave him it gave him something to do with his pain. Blah blah blah. Gotta get all these flubs out. He was doubled over a long staff at the waist, suspended above the floor. Thumb blocks linked his thumbs to his big toes, their sharp edges biting into his flesh. He had been hanging from the pole for 3 days, and normally the slightest movement would bring searing pain. But he felt nothing. He passed his pain to the rat. The cell was small and dark, with only one small rectangular window. Even that afforded little light in spite of the bright cloudless sky outside. Even that afforded little light in spite of the bright cloudless sky outside. The cell seemed to hold a darkness that even the sun could not penetrate. The air was thick with the reek of urine and excrement. The magistrates would attribute the odor to demon possession. They always did. The simple truth was that even he had excretions. Even Warlock's shit, folks. No. If he were to be truly entered, if hell were to be open and send him a rescuer, if the pious Puritan magistrates with their waddled chins and bushy dandruff-specked eyebrows were to see that, he would not be the one to lose control of his bodily functions. Roaches crunched over the wet, gritty floor. Bats hanging above him shuffled with dry, whispery sounds. And curled on its side in the corner was the rat. Its pink tail slapped the floor now and then. Dull light glowed off its tiny fangs, and its lips pulled back in agony. Its small, unblinking eyes were locked onto the man's steady, icy gaze. And it felt his pain. They would be coming soon, the magistrates, for a few final words with him. Through the boarded-over window, he could hear the last preparations being made for his execution. Outside, below the tower, cats were yowling angrily. He knew they were being stuffed into a basket, cramped together carelessly, and he hoped they were biting and clawing with all their strength. shredding the flesh of the cat tender. Nearby, there would be a pyre of wood awaiting the flames. And rising above it all, casting a long shadow in the bright sunlight, would be the gallows, the noose perhaps shifting slightly in a faint breeze. He knew what awaited him below because he had seen it all before. Because he had seen it all before. He had seen it and escaped it. It amused him, and he smiled as the rat shrieked in the corner, clawing at itself miserably, its front paws raking through gray matted fur, body twisting in pain. The magistrates would be striding silently through the village now, their faces stony and purposeful, their black cloaks slapping about them. Townspeople would scramble from their way, turning to watch them pass. They feared the magistrates as they feared their God. And if those cold, stiff-necked men were imbued with the very powers of the Almighty himself. Oh, hold on. As if. I'm going to read that again. They feared the magistrates as they feared their God. As if those cold, stiff-necked men were imbued with the very powers of the Almighty God. If they but knew, he thought, of their weaknesses. Their prime weakness, the weakness that gave him so much power over them, was their gut-deep fear of him. He often thought they would do just as well without a God. They had so little faith in him. The rat's tiny fangs snapped together rapidly, gnashing in the air. Outside, a breeze began to rise, sighing around the stone tower and blowing through the 3 small windows in the dank cell. Below, cats continued to squall in chorus. And footsteps. They were coming up the tower, several of them, their feet scritching up the spiral stone stairs. He listened closely. There were 5 of them. One was the jailer. He had a club foot, and walked with a heavy limp. They stopped outside the cell door and spoke. They stopped outside the cell door and spoke in hushed voices. Keys jangled musically. One was slipped into the lock and turned with a heavy metallic click. The enormous iron door opened slowly with the tortured groan of rusty hinges. He enjoyed the sound. It was a painful, miserable sound, not unlike the sounds he'd torn from countless men and women during his long life. When they came inside, he stole a quick look, just enough of a glance to take them all in, then returned his eyes to the rat in the corner. The jailer, a small, crooked man, stood by indifferently, but the others entered with their arms raised protectively before their eyes, shielding them from his gaze. He heard the clatter of the scribe. Well, hold on. Did I skip a page? Oh, this is not a PDF. I'm so lost. Now we're good. He heard the clatter of the scribe's writing board being erected, heard the tip of the quill chitter tremendously against the lip of the inkwell as it was dipped into the thick black ink. Turning his eyes from the rat, he looked at them again, looked from one to the other. The scribe gasped and turned away from him. With a curious squeak, the rat scuttled out of the corner, released for a moment from the man's pain. But he snapped his head back down and seized the rodent again. It curled into a convulsing ball with an agonized screech. He'd seen what he wanted to see, what he'd expected to see. Did my screen just go black? Am I still recording? Yeah. What he'd expected to see. The assemblage gathered around him. The assemblage gathered around him was short one member. One very important man was missing. Redfern. All right, well, I have to get to work. Thank you for humoring me with this. This book's awesome. Fantastic, fantastic novelization of this flick. And if you haven't seen Warlock, man, you're missing out. But yeah, if you can find this novelization, it's great. Really fun. Really fun to read the movies. You know, I used to, as a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated films, so I would try to find like not the novelization of them, and I would read those. And because I was not allowed to watch them. But if I can find them on paperback, heck yeah. All right, well, a lot of good stuff coming out. A.A. Warren's Talon the Hunter, is with Audible right now. It's finally been approved, so I'm waiting for that to drop. Lucas Mangum's Engines of Ruin is out right now, so some fantastic short stories from him. I love his writing. I have a lot more coming from him. I got 2 books on the schedule for him, and just so much good stuff. So much on the schedule, so little time, and so I got to get to work. So thank you for watching, and follow me on Twitter, Sean Narrates, and hit up the website. The website. I can't talk anymore. The website, Sean Duregger Narrates. Duregger, Duregger. Hit me up there. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll talk to all of you next time. I'm gonna do a live recording session at some point. I know that I want to do some Discord stuff, but honestly, through the quarantine stuff, the COVID stuff, everything, my recording sessions have been a fucking battle. And with all that I got going on, I've just needed to just focus and not really worry about going live and, just too much. So, but I'm kind of starting to get over that as I feel really good. I felt good about this little dry read here. So hopefully I can channel that into this book by A.S. Coomer and knock this thing out. The Devil's Gospel, awesome book, some little backwoods religious horror. Love A.S. Coomer's writing. So happy that he waited this long for me to do this. And so yeah, ton of good stuff going on. And if you want to get on the promo team to write little reviews on Audible after listening to the audiobook, there's a link on SeanDureggerNarrates.com. Down near the bottom, you can sign up on the mailing list and be a part of that. All right, so thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all next time.